podcast webinar called The Sacred Work of Love. And this sacred work of love is going to share with you, present to you an overview in some ways, and in some ways more than an overview, of my Sunrise Spiritual Relationship Healing Program, which is a program that's primarily designed to help people in a distressed marriage, to help the spouse, the motivated spouse in a distressed marriage that wants to take the lead at rekindling and repairing the bond of love. And perhaps one can say the two are the same thing, but another way to phrase it, and maybe a little different, is to help a motivated spouse whose wife or husband has emotional wounds, has relational impairments that cause them to lash out instead of reach out, that causes them to be invalidating, manipulative, rather than collaborative and connective, to help the motivated spouse create a new culture, create an inertia that's positive in the marriage, that takes it from its trajectory towards pain and distance and separation and brings it back towards a trajectory of love, of kindness and compassion that likely did exist, being that it's a marriage, and doing all this with wisdom, with insight, with understanding. Doing all this by first and foremost developing a calm, confident, spiritually centered core that could stand dignified and poised in the midst of the storms of an emotionally wounded partner, and can heal and respond in a healing way, as I like saying, one interaction at a time. And if you've joined this before, if you've listened to this class before, I have another agenda that you may have noticed. In addition to sharing my Sunrise program with you, with people that it may benefit, I am grateful and I am humbled that I have the opportunity to speak to fellow seekers of truth. I like calling them seekers of the dawn. The first responders among the nations of the world to the message of the Jewish people. To the people whose thirst, whose integrity, whose spiritual and moral honesty create in them a thirst and a vacuum for us, the Jewish people, entrusted with a mission by Hashem to fill such a vacuum. It's a match that's perfect. We are healing that marriage, so to speak, between the Jewish people and the nations of the world. And so I like using this platform to encourage you, to commend you, to thank you for awakening, and through your awakening us, the Jewish people, to reach out to you and share with you those truths that we didn't invent and are not responsible for, and often at times in our history, sadly, even struggled with. But we have a mission to share with you. So let's look at the Torah portion of the week. The Torah portion of the week, the portion of the Torah that's read throughout synagogues all over the world, has the story of the splitting of the Sea of Reeds, the forces of the Pharaoh having just let the Jewish nation free in last week's Torah portion, due to the literal decimation of his land through those powerful, overwhelming 10 plagues that testify to the greatness of Hashem and to the resolve of Hashem. And this all culminated in the death of the firstborn. Pharaoh let the Jewish people go. He begged them to go. The nation of Egypt begged them to go. And then, perhaps, one of the most astounding turnarounds the world has witnessed. Just a few days later, there Pharaoh is, there the Egyptians are, chasing the Jewish people as if they learned nothing. As if they learned nothing from 10 overwhelming, unique phenomenon in the history of the world. A mighty nation turned on its tail. The forces of nature suspended, overruled, turned upside down. As if they learned nothing, there they are chasing the Jewish people. How could that even be? And I think on a very simple level, we could say, because human beings are choosers. We are choosers of our destiny. We don't get free passes. We don't get free lunches. Even if God is intervening in the most incredible ways because of God's plan and destiny for the world and for the Jewish people. So under duress, the Pharaoh, the Egyptian court, let the Jewish people go. But that wasn't their growth. That wasn't their spiritual level. So like a stick, a metal stick, or a stick made of material that's not pliable and not breakable, you bend it using brute force. As soon as you let go, it snaps right back. Not because it's being rebellious, not because it's being foolish, but because that is how it was made. And its essence, its essential nature has not been changed just because you used brute force to bend it. Similarly, Hashem had his purpose here. Hashem had his mission. Hashem had his job to save the Jewish people. But Hashem was not violating, was not breaking the rules of this world that we have to. We have to choose our levels. We have to choose to change our nature, or our nature will not change. So as soon as the duress softens, if there's been no true inner work done, the stick snaps back. The heart snaps shut. And I think that is what we've seen and see with Pharaoh and the Egyptians. They ran after the Jews because the moment they were not under duress, they had not worked to that level of recognition of God. They had not worked to that level of recognition of the rights of human beings, not to enslave them. So right away, they're going right back to their nature. So we have the Pharaoh, we have the Egyptian army. And they're chasing the Jewish people again to enslave them at the best, to avenge their pride and wound and hurt them for daring to leave. And Hashem once again mixes in. The waves of the waters of the Red Sea part. Another phenomenon. They split. The Jewish people walk through the Sea of Reeds on the dry land. And right behind them, hot on their heels, come the Egyptians and crash and boom. The waters cascade down on them. And Hashem predicted this would happen. And it seems like here we have it again. At first glance, it seems like here we have it again. What do we have again? It's the God's chosen people. The only ones that God saves. The Jews are here, the Egyptians are here. It's not so simple. Number one, what I heard from Rabbi Feld. He said, that when Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu what was going to happen, Hashem said, I'm going to harden the Pharaoh's heart. You're going to split the sea. The Jewish people are going to walk through it. And I'm going to harden his heart. And you know what's going to happen? V'yadu Mitzrayim ki ani Hashem. Don't think that I don't have the Egyptians on my mind as well. This is going to be painful. This is going to be a big one for them. But because of the immensity of what's happening, the eyes of the Mitzrim as well will be opened, and they will know that I'm Hashem. And Rabbi Feld said, that's mind-blowing. For how long will they know that he is Hashem? While they're drowning? While the water is crashing down on them? Rabbi Feld said, yes. Rabbi Feld of blessed memory, the dean of Yeshiva Derech Esan, said yes. Because that's a level, even if it's just for a short time. Hashem is going to reward, so to speak, the Egyptians by allowing them to actually, finally rise above the level and recognize his greatness, recognize his mission, recognize his loving essence. And even if they just recognize that for a few seconds, that brings them to high levels for eternity. The Egyptians too were part of Hashem's plan. Because Hashem's plan is not a national one, it's a universal one. And the Jews sang as they were released, as they were freed, as they were redeemed. They sang. They sang the song of the sea. Az Yashir Moshe V'nei Yisrael. And all the way, all the way at the end of the song. They speak about the incredible power and might of Hashem. They speak about how nations heard and trembled. They melted. But they say, Tivyeimai v'siteimai, bahar nachlascha, an yavar amcha Hashem. Your nation is now passing through. Your nation is passing through the Sea of Reeds. But the story ain't ending here. Ad yavar amzu kanisa. This nation that you have acquired through the incredible, miraculous intervention, you have acquired our hearts to serve you for all times. We are now going to be your resource, Hashem. Your human resource, your human commodity, your human soldiers that are going to continuously and perpetually, forever and ever, show the world, testify to the world that there is a God. There's a loving God. There's a God with a loving plan for humanity. You will bring them, you will plant them on the mount of your heritage. Machon l'shiftecha pa'alta Hashem. What does that mean, machon? In Israel today, there's machon leiv. Machon means a training ground. Hachana is to prepare. Israel is not the zenith. The Jewish people in Israel with the temple closeness to God is not the zenith. It's not the goal. It's a mechon l'shivtecha. It's a training ground that all the nations of the world could see and eventually open their hearts so that l'shivtecha, Hashem, could dwell amongst us. This is not a national story. It's a international, universal story. Hashem created us to be his resource. This says, according to Rav Hirsch, it says that specifically in the Torah. Kol kedoshav biyadecha. We are implements, we are resources that Hashem uses to reach out through the world. And Eretz Yisrael is simply a college. It's a training area. It's a place where kibesi beis tefillah l'chol ha'amim. My house will be a house of prayer for all the nations. V'hoya bayom ahu, says Isaiah, says Yeshaya. I believe it's the second chapter of Isaiah, of Yeshaya. What does he say is going to happen on that day, on the goal of history? V'hoya ba'achris hayomim. It will be at the end of days, which we're definitely getting closer to. Nachon yihar beis Hashem b'roish haharim. The mountain that symbolizes our need to climb and to grow. The mountain of the house of Hashem will be firmly established. B'roish haharim, above the hills, as the head of the mountains. V'naharu elav Kol Hagoyim, and all the nations will stream to it. V'holchu amim rabim, many nations will go there. The airport's going to be busy. V'amru, and they will say, L'chu v'nale el har Hashem, let's go up to the mountain of Hashem, El Beis Elokei Yaakov, to the house of the God of Jacob, V'yoreinu midrachav, and he will teach us the nations of the world, of his ways. V'nelcha be'archosav, and we will walk in his paths. At that time, he, perhaps we could say it's the Jewish people, who the he is, the Mashiach, he will judge between nations, and there'll be peace. Lo yisa goy el goy chereb, v'lo yilmedu on milchama, which is printed in the United Nations, I believe. So here we are, and here you are, the first responders. My friend Ray calls it the Noachai nations and the 70 nations. I like referring to you as the awakened nations. The first responders, the breakers of the dawn. Here you are, already reaching out to Hashem and saying, we're ready. We're ready. You're here to learn of Hashem's ways. There's a lot more to say, but I want to spend at least some time on the sacred work of love. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you an overview of the sunrise relationship healing approach. 3 stages. Stage number 1, you could call it introductory, is laying the foundation. That's really what we're doing now. And that's what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. In laying the foundation, I talk to you. I provide you with ideas, with insights. And you do reflective work to try to understand, where is my marriage at now? Is it in that antagonistic phase, the cold phase? Is my marriage distressed? If your marriage is distressed, more reflective work. Reflection lays the foundation. What are the likely challenges of my spouse? What's going on with my spouse? Why are they acting in self-defeating ways? Why are they hurting the one they love the most? Why are they creating this climate of invalidation? Let me understand them without judgment, without blame, rather even with some degree of compassion. And what are my triggers? More reflection. What are my triggers? Why do I get so hurt? We talked about that last time. So we're laying the foundation. And what's the road ahead? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And what is the mechanisms that we can use? What's the process of change that we can engage in? That's going to come up. Understanding what the problem is and what the road to healing looks like. Let me read it. Stage 1, laying the foundation. Path 1, the path of hope. This is the path you're doing right now. I like sometimes calling it, I go back and forth in my head calling this path, turning it into two paths. The path of reflection, which is what we were doing the last 2 weeks, and then the path of hope, which is what we're doing now, where we see the road to healing. But for now, we're combining them, the path of hope. In this path, you'll gain important terminology and information pertaining to the cycles that marriages go through when distressed. I think we've hopefully checked off that box. You'll be guided to engage in reflective work to help you understand better what the challenges of your marriage are. This includes reflecting on your emotional wounds and triggers, and with regards to your spouse, what mental health conditions may be driving hurtful behavior and pulling your marriage towards chaos. And for those of you that are following Ray, which should be all of you, I sent him some questionnaires, call it a handout, some reflective journal exercises to help you understand where your marriage is at, what conditions may be driving your spouse, and what might your triggers be. This path concludes with an overview of the sunrise approach. That's what we'll be doing today. So you can visualize the way forwards and ultimately develop new hope that things can be improved. This is followed by path 2, still in stage 1, laying the foundation. Path 2, stage 1, laying the foundation. Path 2 is the path of lasting change. This path really kind of states the obvious, that creating lasting relationship change will require active engagement rather than passive consumption of the content. If your marriage is distressed, you could hear this out to really gain from this material. You need to engage in it. I remember I was taking a teacher's training seminar in my teaching days before I went into social work. And they were trying to say how student hears, student says over, student does. And they showed the levels of retention. Student hears was like the level of retention was 10%. Student says over. Now the level of retention jumps to like 40%. Roughly, I don't remember the exact numbers. Student does. Student gets up and actually acts out or practices what he learns. With your guidance and your coaching in real time, now the retention jumps to like 80%. Huge, huge, huge quantum leap in retention. So the path of lasting change teaches that to really change your relationship will require active engagement. This means working to fully understand the skills, planning how to get around the barriers that may stand in the way of your applying them. And that's where a mentor comes in, which I am here to do. I am here to be for you. There is a cost for that. Very reasonable, and we certainly want to work with you. As you engage in the material, you will see that it is necessary to reach out to your mentor to clarify areas of confusion you may have. So now you're, in a way you could call this student says over. Instead of student just simply hears, now you're talking to me, I'm talking back to you, we're checking for understanding, you're beginning to get it. And then you got to do it. You got to actually implement what you're learning. The path of lasting change. As you implement what you're learning, sometimes it's going to work great. Sometimes you take the first swing with the bat, you hit a home run. But sometimes it doesn't go as far. Or you miss, right? Again, if it goes awry, if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, the skills, you go back to your mentor and you troubleshoot. And this path introduces the journal companion, which I'm kind of giving you piecemeal as we go through the journal exercises. I'm going to be giving to them piecemeal, so you can, it'll be put, I believe, on my page, on my home page in the 70 Nations Network. And the journal exercises will help you do the reflective work. It will make it easy to collaborate with me because you can even share with me the work that you're doing. Stage 2, staying calm in the storm. I could give you pure gold. I could give you the best skills, the most wonderful interventions, the most effective ways to respond. But if you're internally bristling or tense or anguished or anxious, your partner doesn't just hear what you say. You could even say, barely hears what you say. They hear who you are. They hear your nonverbal messages. So it's crucial to stay calm in the storm. And really, it's not even just about staying calm in the storm. This stage 2 is a beautiful journey. It's a journey to connect with the part of you that is always calm, the part of you that is secure, the part of you that is confident. That's path 3, the path of healing from within. This is about touching your awareness that within you beats a resilient and wise soul. And I know that I'm preaching to the choir. You're here because you're following. You're here as awakened nations, as the first responders, as the seekers of the dawn. Nafshi Lashem mishomrim laboker. My soul yearns for Hashem as the person in the dark yearns for the dawn. That's you. So the path of healing from within is about touching your awareness that within you beats a resilient and wise soul. Your body is easily triggered and feels depressed when faced with relationship stress, when faced with hurtful or neglectful marital behaviors, when the one that loves you most or should love you most says something invalidating or doesn't give you the support, the basic support that you anticipate. your body mind, your body emotions stir up and protest. They get angry, they get rageful, or they wallow into depression. The emotions of your body are loud and overwhelming. They fill you with pain and anger. Your soul is the serene core that no relationship distress can disrupt. Your soul has the capacity to heal your reactive body, to hold your body, to create a holding environment. It can hold you, comfort you, and give you the resources to lead with secure love. And if you engage in this material, you'll be able to connect to that inner space and draw comfort from it, draw guidance from it, way beyond relationship challenges. But we're going to focus on relationship challenges. Life is full of other stress, not just relationship stress. And it's so wonderful that the loving voice of Hashem in the form of our soul beats and pulsates within us. The sunrise approach empowers you to hold on to your soul. Your soul is the self-compassionate inner voice that can comfort you in real time and give you the strength to hold on when the going is tough. And we'll finish with path 4. Finish as in this evening, but we'll be back next week to finish the introduction. Path 4, the path of shifting perspective. This is about shifting the way you see the relationship and the way you see yourself within the relationship. Healing, relief from pain begins when you shift to the perspective of your soul. Rather than viewing the marriage as broken, and viewing yourself and your life as broken because you're in a marriage that's broken, rather than viewing the marriage as broken, you start to experience it as a sacred ordeal that is refining you into a more compassionate, calm, courageous person. So shifting how you see the marriage and shifting how you view yourself within the marriage, seeing yourself not as a victim of affliction, but a precious child of Hashem with a meaningful mission of growth to rise towards. That's the path of shifting perspective. The new perspectives, want to just add on one more thing to the path, soothes the pain of feeling helpless and fills your heart with new purpose. The path of shifting perspective helps you internalize the empowering perspectives. By visualizing how you will approach the hurtful comments and neglectful behaviors based on the better ways of seeing things. If you see it differently, then you'll respond to it differently. And the path helps you connect those dots, connect the dots from seeing to responding by actually in a quiet time before you're in the trench, before you're in the lion's den, before you're facing the distressing situation. The path helps you visualize, how would I respond if I was filled with this more peaceful and healing and empowering and encouraging way to see the relationship. And the path culminates in writing the new way you see the relationship. And in writing the new way you want to approach the relationship, so that you respond with dignity and compassion towards yourself and towards your spouse, and lead with secure love. The goal is, when you finish the path of shifting perspective, you shouldn't just be seeing differently. You should be feeling differently. Ready, willing to get back into that batter's box and crush it. But part of the reason why you could feel hopeful, the reason why you could is because we're not just going to leave you high and dry. We're not going to do a hit and run, just inspire you and then leave you by your own. No. There's another, I think, 6 or 7 paths where we're going to help you, guide you to stay connected with your soul, even as you face the storm. We're going to give you the principles of effective responses, of responses that turn interactions around 360 degrees, from interactions that are causing pain and distance to ones that are causing healing and closeness. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much again for joining me this night, and for being the awakened nations of God's first responders.